What's up, my pre-calc people? In this video, we're going to be going over the fourth and final free response question of the 2026 AP Precalculus Exam. Now, this problem gave you 5 functions, 2 of which you had to solve, 2 of which you had to rewrite or simplify, and another one that you had to solve as well. Now, overall, I don't think that they were overly difficult, but that last function, m of x, was a little bit tricky with a little bit of a different thing you had to do at the end to make sure that you get all of the proper solutions in the correct interval, but overall, it wasn't too bad. Let's dive into all 3 parts right now so you can see exactly what you need to do to get full credit. So FRQ number 4 started out with part A, and we were given 2 functions, g of x and h of x. G of x was an exponential function, and h of x was a logarithmic function, and we had to do a little bit of solving. So let's do single I first. So we were asked to find all values for which g of x equals 1 divided by e raised to 6. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take 1 over e raised to 6 and set it equal to g of x, which is e raised to 2x. Now, I'm actually going to show you 2 different ways to solve this. You do have to show your work. So I'm going to show you 2 different ways because you could use either one and get the same final answer. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do to make it really, really easy, I think this first way is the easiest, is I'm going to rewrite 1 over e to the 6 as e to the negative 6. Because if you have a positive exponent in the denominator of a fraction, you can move it to the top with a negative exponent. Now, since my bases are both the same, they're both e, then I can use the one-to-one property, and I know that 2x must equal negative 6. If the bases are the same, then the exponents must be the same on both sides of the equation. And now we have a really, really easy linear equation to solve. All we have to do is divide both sides by 2, and we get a final answer of x equals negative 3. That's really a 2-step problem, not too bad to do. But let me show you another way that you could have solved this and still get full credit. Now, most kids might say, oh, divide, the opposite is to multiply. So their first thought is to multiply the e to the 6 to the left-hand side, and we get e to the 2x times e to the 6 equals 1. Now we have to use our exponent rules. If you have the same base and you're multiplying them, you can add the exponents. So we have e raised to 2x plus 6 equals 1. Now we have an exponential equation that we have to solve, and we're going to solve it by rewriting it as a log equation. So we're going to use 2x plus 6, that's the exponent, and exponents always equal logs, so 2x plus 6 equals the natural log of 1. Now, why the heck am I using a natural log? Because a natural log is a base of e, so that is why. Since your exponential had a base of e, your log needs to have a base of e. Now, hopefully you remember the natural log of 1 is the easiest log in the world. It is a 0. You should know that. So the natural log of 1 turns into a 0, and once again, we have a very easy linear equation to solve. We're going to subtract 6 from both sides and then divide by 2, and we get that same final answer of x equals negative 3. Now, I think the first option I showed you is a little bit easier, but you never know. Some students might jump and use this option as well. But you did have to show work. All right, now for double I, we're going to be taking h of x, log base 2 of 5 of x. We're trying to find all values such that it equals 3. So we're taking h of x, log base 2 of 5x, and setting it equal to 3, and now we're going to solve. Now, once again, I'm going to show you 2 different ways that we could solve this one as well. The first way is to just rewrite the logarithmic function as an exponential function. So we're going to have a base of 2 raised to the 3rd equals 5x. Remember, logs always equal the exponent. So the exponent on our base of 2 is the 3, and then we equal the 5x on the inside of the log. Now, this is pretty simple, but everybody should know 2 to the 3rd is 8, and then we have to do a little bit of math, divide both sides by 5, and we get a final answer of 8/5. Really, really not too bad. Now, another option to solve this, some teachers might teach you to get rid of a log, you're going to use a base of the same base. So some teachers will say, okay, since you have a log base 2, then you're going to take each side of the equation and do 2 raised to it. And it's going to look something like this. So we have 2 raised to the left side, log base 2 of 5x, and 2 raised to the right side, 3. Now, the nice thing here is when you have a base exponential and a log of the same base, they essentially reduce or cancel out, just like 5 divided by 5 is 1, right? And we get just 5x equals 2 to the 3rd. So essentially the base and the logs both go away, and we just get 5x equals 2 to the 3rd. Once again, 2 to the 3rd is 8, then divide by 5 for a final answer of 8 to the 5th. Both ways worked, all depending on how you were taught, but again, you must show work. All right, now moving on to part B, where we're not solving, we're going to be doing some simplifying. So they give us 2 functions, j of x and k of x. J of x is an exponential function that they want us to rewrite so that has a single base of 7 and one expression in the exponent. And then for k of x, we want to rewrite it so that only sine of x appears once and no other trigonometric functions. All right, let's start off with single I, and we're going to reduce j of x. So here's j of x, and now all we have to remember, it's actually a really easy question, is that when we multiply with the same base, we are allowed to add the powers. So we get one base of 7, and we're going to take the 3x plus 1, and we're going to add x. Now, you probably could stop here and get full credit because you did accomplish the goal of having one base 7 and one expression as the exponent. But I took it a step further and actually combined the like terms. 3x and x makes a 4x, so I get a final answer of 7 raised to the 4x plus 1. I got to be honest, that's one of the easiest questions I've ever seen on the AP exam in terms of reducing. All right, now let's tackle number 2, or double I. And for a lot of kids, we might not have gotten this one right. But all you had to do was remember a couple simple things. First off, sine of a double angle, but that's one of those formulas not everybody spends time remembering. But sine of a double angle is 2 sine of x times cosine of x. So I literally rewrote sine of a double angle as 2 sine of x times cosine of x. Then the second thing I did was I rewrote the secant of x as 1 over cosine of x. Again, another big strategy is to turn everything into sines and cosines, so changing that secant to a 1 over cosine is very helpful. Then something really awesome happens. Those cosines are going to reduce. A cosine divided by a cosine is 1. So, some people say they cancel out, but really they just reduce to a 1. So now we get a final answer of 2 sine of x. So we have a final answer that only has the trig function sine of x and no other trig functions. So there is a final answer on that one. I didn't think that question was too bad either, but if you didn't remember the double angle for sine, you definitely got in trouble. All right, now let's move on to part C. This question had a little bit of trick to it that might prevent some of you from getting full points, but you never know. We don't know the full scoring rubric yet, but I'll walk you through it. So we were given m of x equals tangent squared of 3x, and we want to find all input values for m on the interval 0 to pi over 2 that yield an output of 1. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is set this function equal to 1 and try to solve for x. So here's my very first step, literally taking m of x and setting it equal to 1. Now I want to solve for that x, so the first thing I got to do is take a square root to get rid of the square. So taking a square root of both sides results in tangent of 3x on the left and a plus or minus 1 on the right. Now, if you forgot that plus or minus 1, you could be in trouble to getting full points for this question. All right, now I'm thinking in my mind, where the heck is tangent positive or negative 1, right? This inside value is an angle. So I'm trying to figure out, what does this inside angle have to be in order to get tangent to equal positive or negative 1? Now, hopefully everybody remembers their unit circle, and tangent being positive or negative 1 is actually one of the easier ones most kids remember. It's going to happen right here at pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. That's where it's going to be positive 1 as a slope. Then it's going to be over here at 3 pi over 4 and over here at 7 pi over 4. That's where it's going to be negative 1. Now, the issue is some students might only list this answer because it says that it has to be between 0 and pi over 2. But that's where you're going to get in trouble, and let me explain. So let's start off with those 4 possibilities that we just talked about. So this angle 3x could equal pi over 4, it could equal 3 pi over 4, it could equal 5 pi over 4, or it could equal 7 pi over 4. Now I'm not done yet, and that's a little bit of a trick to the problem. I now have to solve for x, which means I have to divide by 3 or multiply by 1/3. Dividing by 3 is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal 1/3, and that's going to produce me 4 answers. So when I multiply pi over 4 by 1/3, I get pi over 12. Multiply 3/4 by 1/3, I get 3 pi over 12, but that does reduce to pi over 4. Multiply 5 pi over 4 times 1/3, I get 5 pi over 12, and then multiply 7 pi over 4 times 1/3, and I get 7 pi over 12. Now, these are my final answers. Now, these are the answers that I have to decide, are they in that interval from 0 to pi over 2? Now, pi over 2 could be looked at as 6 pi over 12, right? Now, what I'm trying to do is get a common denominator, and you'll understand that in a second. But 6 pi over 12 is the same thing as pi over 2. So is pi over 12 in this interval? I'm going to write that a little bit neater here. 0 to pi over 2. Or, if you want to think of it as a common denominator, 0 to 6 pi over 12. So is pi over 2 in that interval? Absolutely. So that is definitely an answer. Then we come to 3 pi over 12. Is 3 pi over 12 somewhere between 0 and 6 pi over 12? Absolutely. So here is another answer, pi over 4. Then we have 5 pi over 12. Is 5 pi over 12 in the interval 0 to 6 pi over 12? Yes, it's barely, but it's definitely below 6 pi over 12, so it's in that interval, so that's another answer. And then finally we get to 7 pi over 12. Is 7 pi over 12 in this interval? No, it's too big, right? We need to be in the interval 0 to 6 pi over 12, and 7 pi over 12 is not. So we have 3 final answers that you need to have for full credit: pi over 12, pi over 4, or you could have left that as 3 pi over 12 as well, and then 5 pi over 12. But 7 pi over 12 does not work. It's outside of the interval that we asked for answers from 0 to pi over 2. So they haven't released the full scoring rubric yet, so I know there might be a lot of big questions. Well, I did this, I didn't do that. How many points will I get? My guess is if you get to this point right here, you will get 1 point. 1 point because you got down to that point. Now, the problem is, did you remember to list all of the possibilities? Did you forget this plus or minus sign? So maybe you only had one of them? Or did you initially think that, these other values of 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4, and 7 pi over 4 were not correct because they didn't fall into the interval 0 to 3 pi or 0 to pi over 2? That could cost you some points there. But it's the final answers that have to be in that interval. And because there's a 3x, we have more than one answer. So we have pi over 12, pi over 4, and 5 pi over 12. Kind of a tough problem. I mean, overall, I guess it's kind of easy if you know how to solve trig equations, but really try to think about what answers do I need to satisfy that interval is where some kids might get a little bit tricked up. But hopefully you got that one right, and hopefully you did really, really well on the exam.